So VIA Lab is a program that we launch with ECA and some other people. So it's initiated by ECA and me, Sten, and Tavivarm. So there was a first part where we explored some game engine like Unity, where students had to produce some video games or more generally interactive installations, but at that time was more reduced to a program. The second part of the Video Games in Art Lab this time was, I would say, more theoretical. The idea was to explore the field of video games, but not only from the perspective of video game production, as we know, as I would say, related to the video game industry, but to enlarge it to different cultural fields. So that include curating, that include art practices, but from installation or sculpture, from scenography in art, from preservation as well. And I think that to start from you was very relevant, as first you are the co-founder of the Video Game Museum, so I think it's good to start from this, as I would say, we couldn't have video games in Art Lab if we wouldn't have the Video Game Museum, and as well. You are working now for Game Dev Estonia, so you are from a few years now in touch with most of the companies in Estonia that are developing video games. You as well have experience with you took part of conferences with different other studios. If it's not in Baltic states, it's as well in the international. So you have a possibility, I guess, to understand and to situate the video game activities in Estonia, the local activity, and as well, you worked or you keep working for Intel Studio, where you built educational program, graduating program in video games, and. So you have a lot of experience through this field. So I think you are, one of the best person placed with the experience to give us a kind of a good sight from the Estonian situation with video game.
Okay.
So you can start from where you want. And
okay, let's
maybe correct what I said.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's too much if we will talk about everything I'm doing right now. So let's just make intro into game dev in Estonia. I think even though you've been in game jams and I've seen your faces, you still maybe don't know some parts of the game dev in Estonia, what's happening lately at least. So we have the Game Dev Estonia, yes. And it was established only 3 years ago because previous association, IGDA Estonia, kind of stopped working at some point. But IGDA Estonia was working already 10 years ago, so it's like a very, very long period of time. We even had a few years ago, not a few years ago, 2018-19, we had Game Dev Days in Estonia. It was an international conference, very popular and big one. So people in Finland, when I still go there to Finland, they always tell me when the new Game Dev Days will come, because they were very happy to come to Estonia to do some business here. But at some point, for a few years, it was kind of dark ages. There was nothing. It's 2020, 2021. It was really bad. Then game developers came together and decided, let's do something new. So it was 3 companies: Placeholder, GameWorks, GameCan, and Ringtail Studios. They invested each 7,000 euro, they put it all together, and then they needed to find someone who is able to lead this ship. So they found me, sadly, for them, and now they have to work with me from that point. So for last 2.5, 3 years, I'm doing what I can. So there are 3 things we're doing. So it's like education, then we do business stuff, and community, let's say like this. So those are like 3 main sides we're doing. And from the education part, we helped in Narva. So there was, in Narva there is Ida-Virumaa Kutsehariduskeskus, this place for like additional education. I don't know how it's called in English. Sadly, it's not like bachelor's degree, but it's like better than just gymnasium. So we helped there with the students, and we were planning and still planning to do a 3D artist course there. So when they do some kind of studies in media, in design, they have like design course for 3 years that they learn about game dev. Then we cooperate with Tartu, but in Tartu they have really, really good CGVR, this like a full department working on VR, on games, on new technologies. They're really proactive. Every January they have expo. So they just had, not so long ago, another expo where they showcased new technologies in Estonia, new games in Estonia, and Tartu Kunstikool showcased their games there. All of the students from Estonia came there to showcase their projects. So that's one of the, I would say, leaders. Tartu is very proactive. So Tartu has a lot of really good game jams, like Pro Game Jam that was just recently. So they're doing their thing. And in Pärnu, we have now full cycle Video Game Academy. That is in cooperation with Epic Games, and they're teaching mostly Unreal Engine and 3D. 3D course is made by me. So I'm helping there to grow new artists in Estonia. Altogether, there are 100 students in Pärnu, and 30 of them are on my course of 3D art. It's for 9 months. So for 9 months, they're studying how to do really good 3D models, I hope. And the teachers are from Ringtail Studios. So that's the education part. We're working in Narva, in Tartu, in Pärnu, and now we are starting to really work a lot in Tallinn too. We have cooperation with Tallinn University. That's why we had a game jam there in December. It was Game Maker Game Jam, yeah. And we'll have new activities with Tallinn University, and like the students there, they're very proactive. So we're working with Tallinn University, and now next month I'm starting a new position as the head of curriculum in minor university in game design. So I'll be leading game design in Tallinn. So we're working as much as possible everywhere where we can to bring as much as possible students to the game dev. And at least to explain them what's happening in game dev. And let's talk about the business then. Okay, so in Estonia we have around, altogether I would say around 120 studios, yeah? But the thing is that most of them, they're doing business in Estonia, but they don't really work in Estonia. So they have maybe account in Estonia, maybe e-residency, something like that. Out of them, around, I would say 60 are mostly realistic studios. Like those that have some kind of business in Estonia and have people in Estonia. Teams can be different. It can be 1 person, it can be 6 people, it can be 50 people, but all in all, it's around 60. Right now I'm doing, like every year I'm doing overview of the market, and now I'm doing overview for the previous year. So every year, or like whole industry, is generating about 50 million euro in Estonia. 50 million. In Latvia it's around 45-50, same. We're very similar by the size, but very different in details, in any case. And Lithuania right now generating 250. 220, 250. Why? Because when there were riots in Belarus and the situation in the world right now, biggest company Wargaming moved to Lithuania. They were choosing between Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. And Lithuania proposed to them the best tax cut possible. So they went to Lithuania. And that's why 1,000 developers came to Vilnius. And as you know, 1,000 people in game dev that just came to the industry, they give a lot. And Finland is generating only 3 billion. So it's okay, 3 billion. So as you can see, Estonia is very small, but still 50 million is to 50 million. I'm okay with that, it's better than zero. So in that sense, we still have something here, okay? So the biggest ones, the biggest players right now is, of course, in Tallinn, it's Creative Mobile. They're doing right now VR game Into the Radius 2. Then Ringtail Studio is still quite big, even though they're smaller now. It was 110 developers and artists, now it's more like 50, 60, but still. And of course, one of the biggest players right now is GameCan in Pärnu. They are around 60 people, maybe even more now. And then they're developing Contenders Arena and some other projects, so they're growing rapidly, and they have now a school, so it's like a really big project. You don't like yellow, okay, I understand. Yeah, okay, so 60. So I would say that from those 60, most of the developers, I think around 70% are really small, like really small. Maybe 1 person, 2 people, 6 people, not bigger. Then the other ones are already bigger players. But that doesn't mean that small players are bad players, not in any way. Because we have really good stories. Oh, yeah, cool. So the biggest story from the last year is, of course, Jordan Morris, Mr. Morris Games from Haiku the Robot. So that guy, he's a one person. Yeah, he's alone. Like, he's zero, like one guy. He was, as I understand, in marketing in Pipedrive previously. So a few years ago, he made a Kickstarter where he said he will do a Metroidvania game. He earned enough money through Kickstarter, enough fans were really into this, and he's like, yeah, cool. So alone, sitting at home, crying, he made the game in 2 years. On his marketing, he spent $1,000. That's all he spent in 2 years on marketing. And his game became like extremely successful. I cannot say numbers, yeah? I don't even know them very well, but I can calculate. But if you will go to Steam page, you will see his game, you will see how many reviews he has, you can check active players, like that game is very successful. So that guy alone in Estonia showcased that you can do a very successful product from the business perspective, even though it's a very artistic game, that can earn. And we're not talking about, 100,000, 200,000, we're talking closer to million maybe. And for one person, that's a really good business thing. So right now, Haiku the Robot.
Oh, okay.
Haiku the Robot, yes. And that's not the only story, that's the thing. So 70 or 80% of Estonia are solo developers or tiny developers, but they are all successful. So we have Chaosmonger Studio, like another thing about Estonia, all of the games are mostly very artistic. Like they're not about earning money, they're more about showcasing the inner artist of the developer. I don't know, like it's always about something beautiful. So Chaosmonger Studio, they developed last year 3 games, even though it's one person with a lot of people being hired. So one of them is Soul Tolerance. It's about the future where all the people are dead and robots are trying to understand, is there a soul, value of soul, understanding of what is a human. Then he, at the same year, released Clunky Hero. That's a very nice, just side-scroller a bit in a style of Miyazaki, I would say. Like it's there are some visual notes from that. Then he released one more game at the same year. 3 minutes to 8, maybe, I think. Yeah, he won some awards with that game. So it's about the fact that you will die in a specific time, and you have to go back every time to understand how to survive the point where you will, in any case, die. So you have to kind of run away from your death. So that's only one developer, Chaosmonger Studio, in 1 year, 3 games. What is again very good about business in Estonia, all of the games are quite small scale. If we're not talking about the big heavy hitters, they're all small scale. We're talking about budget of maybe 20,000, 20k to 200k. That's the budget of, I would say, middle Estonian game. Of course, it sounds quite a lot, 20,000 to 200,000. But if we will talk about the market in the world and Europe, usually we are talking about millions. Like the budget for indie game in Europe is around 1 to 2 million. So our 20,000, it's like, I don't know, they usually spend more maybe on a biscuits in the kitchen, I don't know. So our budgets are very small. How we do that? It's because the studios are tiny. One person, if you have 20k for a year, you can survive somehow. Like if you think about your salary, 20k is enough for one person for 1 year to have a pretty good salary. Yeah, good enough. So that's how the things are done. Then the community, that's another thing that we're developing constantly. Of course, it's mostly like right now the Discord channel or social media, some meetings, meetups, everything. So we do game jams. It's like the most important, of course, meetups is the most important activity because there you find work and studios find employees and people tell about their ideas. Community can tell is it a good or bad idea. And then some of the deals are just made through those meetups because they're not formal. It's very easy to go there. It's usually 50 to 70 people. You see the developers, you can get something from there. Then another one that we now have is of course the hub that we just opened. That is very expensive and takes a lot of mental energy from me right now because I have to sustain that thing. But in the hub, we all work together. So you can go there and you can meet Jordan Morris from Haiku the Robot is sitting there. Placeholder Gameworks is there. Other studios are there. Even Alpa Kids is coming very soon. They will be sitting with us in the same hub. So it's around 20 to 30 people right now. Should be more. I hope it will be around 50 to 60, but let's see. So we're building this community, meetups, hub, then game jams. Constantly game jams. In December, it was in Tallinn University. In January, we had our biggest and most expensive, I would say, game jam in Pärnu. That was Global Game Jam Pärnu. Now, the next one is in Taltech. It will be in March. It's organized by the community, by the people from community, students that always went to our meetups. I know them very well and they finally decided to do their own stuff and I'm very happy about that. So, and the next one will be, government called us and said that we need to do a game jam in Ida-Virumaa, somewhere in Jõhvi, because they want to do a new art and media school in Jõhvi to propose more to the young people, like some new ways of art. They will do their film studio, music studio, and classes for game development in Jõhvi. And they asked us to already kind of start building bridges and do some event there. So game jams, it's very important. And of course, we have really big events, serious ones, like the one that will be this Friday, that is totally free for everyone, this Global Game Developers Championship Finals in Telliskivi. Or Moby Dictum conference that was last year. I don't know if it will be this year, but it was last year in Kultuurikatel, those big boys. Then we have, of course, we go to all of the main events in Estonia. That will be, in April, there will be Gamers, this festival in Põhjala tehas. Then there's Mängutöö. We always showcase as much as we can in Mängutöö. So the hardest part right now is, of course, community, because we have event almost every week, and it's really hard to maintain. It's like so much stuff is happening. Like in March, we will go to incubator in Tallinn, Loome Incubator. We will explain how to build your first game to the people there who are interested to do their own game, maybe their own project. We'll try to explain it from the business perspective, how much money you need, where to call, what to do, what's the scale that is right for you in the beginning, all those things. So there's constantly something happening. And as you can see, yes, so Game Dev Estonia is a lot of stuff, everyone is helping. I'm trying to lead it, but most of the events lately, at least, I'm very happy, are done by someone else, but I'm just going there and trying to help on the spot or maybe to help to prepare something. So in 2 days, one of the biggest Estonian projects will release, Bootstrap Island. Many people worked on it, and then Ringtail was involved, and it's a really serious project. Why it's serious? Because Creative Europe gave money on that project. Not much, 150,000, but still it's very nice. So that means that there is a possibility to get something from the government. So that's the new thing. We finally started working with the government lately. So we're going right now to America, and government will, EIS Enterprise Estonia, it's still under government, and Ministry of Culture, they will cover 70% of all our expenses. We will go to Boston, we will go to New York, we will travel in March. 12 companies will travel through America, try to find investors, try to find new projects, try to do something. And this will be the first, I would say, cooperation, real cooperation with government. And what is good is that it's just the beginning. After that, we will go to Asia, we will be traveling to Germany. So we have plans for the whole year and maybe next year to fully expand game development, I would say, world in Estonia. The plan is that we're not 50 million, but maybe at least 100, that would be nice. And what is good is that the game, when you make it, it's a 100% export. That means that when the product is done, like it was with Death and Taxes Estonian game, it was released, then after a while it was released in Asia, after a while it was released in other markets, and for the last 3 or 4 years it still earns money, and that's great. It's like really good investment in the beginning. You have to invest some money. Like the hardest part is to build the vertical slice. So our perfect plan right now with the government in the future and governmental money and maybe even a bit of European Union and Creative Europe is to have some kind of grants in the size of 10,000 to 20,000 that we can give to projects that we can see have potential to grow the number of tiny studios. So if we invest with the government or some other ways, money in those new ideas that we are creating, maybe even at game jams, yes? So game jam game, we see potential, we talk to the government, we give 10,000 or 20,000 euro to this project, we help to raise this project, maybe even in the hub, we give tables and mentorship, and then we have more studios and we generate more money. So that's the plan. It's very easy, but still hard to do. So right now we're on the stage to go to America, to go to Asia, to find new contracts, to propose new ideas. Then we will start building new studios to have more than 60 studios in Estonia. So that's what's happening right now in Estonia, and that's what we're doing. Any questions? So how to find some kind of I think you're interested to get at some point some kind of practice. So getting practice right now is hard because right now, as you know, it's economic crisis and game dev is in really, really deep grave right now. A lot of studios, they had really big cuts and it's not the best timing, but that's the perfect time to get into game dev on the low point, as it sounds bad, but it's really like that. So it's the best time to invest into small projects, and that's what we're doing in Estonia, small projects. Again, we're into VR, we're into game dev in like PC, consoles a bit, but we're not working in mobile mostly. And that's really good because right now mobile market is really not in the best space.
Specifically in Estonia?
In the world. In the world. Hyper-casual games are on a really big decline. Around 98% of hyper-casual games, they don't earn anything. Only around 2% of the games are kind of successful. And if I remember correctly, every studio that is in hyper-casual, they produce at least 200 games per year. So that means that the possibility to get profitable, to be profitable in hyper-casual market right now is so low that it's easier to just go to casino, I think. And like Turkey, I know a lot about Turkish market. They were all in hyper casual. Now a lot of Turkish studios, they moved to Estonia. Quite a lot, really, like no jokes. And they try to do something different, diversify. Right now, one of the hottest markets is to do maps on Roblox. That's a really good business. And we have new studios in Estonia with really strong investors that do maps in Roblox. And they don't earn from the children playing. They earn from the brands that want to be present on Roblox. So the companies get paid by someone big to be in the Roblox to have a really good experience that is popular with children. It's not about earning from Roblox. Same is happening with Fortnite right now. They opened their market and you are able to do your own game in Fortnite now. And that's another market that is growing. So right now the situation is that hyper-casual games on mobile on decline, console games on decline, even PC games, AAA games are on decline. But indie games are growing rapidly. And that's the way where we need to go in Estonia. Because we're small, but we're artistic. We have high quality of game dev education. A lot of people here. Come on, we managed to build somehow Disco Elysium. We have enough knowledge. So what we need to do is do really high quality indie projects and market them well. Another problem right now, we have really good games like Artist Life Simulator is a really good game. Or Blastronaut is a good game. But there was not enough marketing. So they're good games, but no one knows about them. And that's another problem. So there's a lot of things to tackle. But if you want to find practice, then the problem is that you have to meet people. You will have to go to meetups. You will have to talk with the developers, you will have to communicate. It won't be possible for you to find a good practice place just by LinkedIn or emails. It will not work, sadly, because it's not like the best timing right now. But if you will go to some events, you will go to game jams, you will meet people, they will definitely give you a practice, maybe even paid practice. And then there is a possibility to find work. I know at least one story that there was a really talented guy from the Tartu Kunstikool. Last year I was checking his work, I gave him really high grade, made some posts with good projects, and he was hired to one of the studios in Tallinn. He still works there with a really good salary, and he's very happy. He's doing right now models for games. But it's only one story I can tell right now, a very positive one. So that's the thing. Any questions? Anything else? Yeah.
But how would you go to a game jam if you don't have a team with you?
You should never care about that. You just go there. Like, it's better when you don't have a team. But because usually when someone is coming without a team, he's getting assigned to someone very strong, like a strong team. Like in Pärnu, it was very easy. Everyone already had some kind of teams, and then there were some hands like, oh, I don't have a team, and we just divided them to already established teams, and everything was fine. Every game jam is different. It depends on the organizer. It can be very different. The game jam can be just a room with few tables and stuff, and like, let's be part of Luton Dare, you know, like, or something, because it's online, it's very easy to get in, and you just sit together, eat pizza and play. Or it can be a really big, you know, event with giant, you know, like a hall and sponsors and free computers to use, very powerful with, like, it can be very, very, very different. Even game jams, they can be even online, like it's not even physical. But I would prefer physical game jams. So the ones in Tartu are very high quality. Those game jams are really good. And Pärnu, of course, is a really good one. I don't know what will happen with the game jam that we're planning right now in Ida-Virumaa, but I think it will be great because it will be sponsored by Technopol. They will invest into that, so I think there will be something. In any case, if you don't have a team, just don't care about that. If you're assigned and you see that your team sucks, you can always leave game jam. No one will kill you for that. Like, nothing will happen with you. You work, you don't like it, you leave, no one will care. Like, it's not obligatory, it's not like you go to work. You want to do something, you do that. We had even a situation where there was a team, they were too angry at each other and they just produced two different games. Happens, you never know. Like, some of the there is one guy right now very successful, Mik Klubnika from Tallinn. His game Buckshot Roulette is now extremely popular. Like it's fucking hell how popular it is. Well, the guy started at game jams. He was just doing game jam projects and he was doing something. It was cool. He developed his own style and then voila, multi-million contract with the publisher. He's now going with us to America and we don't even pay for him. The publisher will cover all his expenses. Wow. He doesn't even have a company now. I think it's bad. I need to help him in that sense. But in any case, like, you never know. Maybe your project at game jam that you will even do alone, it can just fly. The Death and Taxes game, it was made at Game Jam. So it was a Game Jam project, and then it just grew, and if you will check right now, it sold a few million copies, so it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a copy. Speaking of Disco Elysium, have you heard that the studio fell apart due to venture capitalism or vulture capitalism, as they call it?
Yeah, I know everything. I even met a lot of people from that studio, even the higher-ups. It was a situation of people, they were all, as I understand now, from my perspective, they were all really good, I would say, cool people, artists, really like strong people. They created something very unique. It took them a lot of time, effort. They were at some point even, they didn't have money to eat, you know, like they were really working like crazy and doing something unbelievable. And they created something great. But in the end, the story is that it was just too fast, too much. Like when you get so much money, we're talking about 50, 60 million euro income. Like, shit happens, you know, and investors, they get greedy, the heads can fight. It's a really big and complicated story, and I met a lot of people that came from that studio and opened their own studios now and do their own projects. But most of the stories were that it was a really good beginning that sadly at some point just they were not ready. If we try to explain it simply, they were not ready for so much money. But there are really good documentaries on that.
Okay, since our course is called Video Games in Art, can you give any examples of good projects in Estonia that are art projects but they involve video games?
I would say that I'm mostly working with games that are products to sell. But even from those games, there are many games that you can see that, you know, there is something in. Even this Artist Life Simulator, it's quite interesting. It's an art project. So if you will play Artist Life Simulator, it's a card game where you live as an artist and then at some point you die very sadly. Maybe because you're lonely, maybe because you became alcoholic, but in any case you will die. But the goal is to die at least somehow accomplished. And it's really hard to do. Most of the playthroughs, when you play, you just die miserably as an artist. And you're always scrambling without money, no one is buying your artwork. That's one side that is really I like. But the other side is that they used AI. They implemented AI, but they took only historical paintings and generated new paintings that you paint in the game, like you generate new paintings. They're all generated from the open source historical paintings. So they used AI. That way they have 1,500 or something different paintings in the game. But they never stole anything from the living artists. So it's a very interesting project, and I really like to talk about it because it's like a really interesting preview of using new technologies, because the team is small. I think it was like 4 people, maybe 6 maximum, I think 4. So they didn't have much money. They even had to ask around at the end of the development to finish the game. But then they managed to do like 1,500 paintings in the game, thanks to AI. But at the same time, they didn't steal anyone else's work. They only took the work that was available in a public domain. Very interesting project. But like art games, I'm not so much into that world because physically, maybe I would say even I don't have enough time. I'm trying my best. Right now, for me, it's very important for us to earn at least some kind of money, because until we will earn money with video games in Estonia, the government or European Union will never be interested in us. So to grow, to produce something new, to have more possibilities, we in any way have to be interesting to the government. We have to produce some kind of income. Otherwise, it's just a dead end. We can do as much as possible really cool artistic games, but when they don't earn, no one will look at us. And what is changing is that they finally are interested in us. We had a meeting with the Minister of Culture. Right now, before going to America, I just got news that Minister of Culture wants to meet everyone who is going to America specifically and have a private talk. We never had that in years. Like, it's just first time in history. So that's the thing. I'm really interested to grow, you know, those game jams, to do some really cool, unique projects, to have some kind of unbelievable stuff happening. But for me, it's very important for my position is to grow the capital too. Otherwise, there will be no possibility to organize even those events or the hub or anything, because we have to pay for that. And right now, the community is mostly paying for everything. So we are still alive only due to the donations from GameCan, Placeholder, Ringtail, Mr. Morris, other studios, Simple Magic. So they all give us some kind of money. Sometimes it's like maybe 20 euros, sometimes 100, sometimes 1,500. But only because of that we were able to do all this stuff. And now finally, when we have a support from government, I'm really interested to try to, as much as possible, give back to the people who donated money to us. So I can finally bring them to America and in that way kind of pay back the investment.
I have would like to go back on Stan's question about Disco Elysium. How a game like this, because it's not like, of course, I Could a Robot was used as an example at the beginning, but Disco Elysium really had like a very big exposure. And it reached, like, it went very far. Like at some point, it had even like better grades than Half-Life.
Right now, it's the highest graded game in the world. It's the first place.
So we are in a game that, even if there was like stories about like, despite all the stories with the finance and things like that, part of studio is in Britain, in England, but how that such exposure didn't attract more more studios or more companies that like wants to, I don't know if it's the proper term, but fishing and like look at the talents that are in Estonia, and that maybe, okay, there is that place with a small country, maybe there is probably something amazing to do. People would like to work on some project, and so how it doesn't have like a side effect or an aftermath after such exposure.
It's because they went away very quickly. If I remember correctly, when the game was finished, they already went to England. They already went away. They were not here.
But not I'm not talking
and
only about the people from the game. But no. You know, like okay, there is people coming from like raised in Estonia, developers that maybe they're even from investors that would like to, okay, show me your game and look at me what you show me what you do. And
it's not so easy. With Disco Elysium, there were quite a lot of people at the later stages that got fired and left. Of course, they were paid their salary, but they never had this. I don't know. They never saw that money. So they developed the game. They helped to create the game, but they were left here. To go to investors and pitch something, you have to create something. They were developers of Disco Elysium that went away to maybe England, was released there. They advertised themselves as a company from UK. They never talk about their like connection with Estonia. And the local developers that were left with basically like they had only their salary, so they don't have any investments, anything. They need time to do something new, to pitch to investors. To create something new, they have money, they don't have that money, so they were just left here. You can be as talented as you want, but if you don't have money or the team or anyone else, you're alone, you have to start from scratch, you need time. So Disco Elysium was released like 4 or 5 years ago, yes? So from that point, some of those developers, they created new studios, they created new games, and they started earning, but it's a long process. Others, in the beginning, yes, there was interest in Estonian market, definitely, there is still, and quite a lot of local developers, they were hired in other countries. I know a lot of really good developers I met in Germany, in Finland, in Sweden. They're awesome developers. One of the guys that I worked with not so long ago, we were sitting next to each other. He was invited to Remedy and he was one of the main artists doing Alan Wake 2. He's a great talent, but he's not here anymore because they all left and
so
voila.
what would you say that in a way such success could create as well like a kind of not so like a reverse effect, like it's make
Yes.
like a brain leak?
Yeah, for those like really talented people, some of them stay here because they're like really big fans of Estonia. There are those people really like strong, but others they get like a proposition of a salary 3 times higher with a free transfer, extra money to settle in, and a rented house with a car. If you have a family, of course you will go. And those big corporations, big companies, Ubisoft, CD Projekt Red, all of those, when they see talent, they just take it out of the country. So those people who are staying here, they're usually paying a very high price because they could earn much more outside, but they still stay here and try to build something. That's why we should really like hold strong to those strong entrepreneurs that are still in Estonia, like Martin Palu, who created GameCAN in Pärnu. His rule is that he wants to raise Pärnu. His main goal is to make Pärnu better. So he's not only developing video games, he's part of the breakdance school. He helped to open Forward Space, co-working space in Pärnu. He helped like so many businesses. Then he started building this game studio and everyone who works in GameCAN, they have to relocate to Pärnu. So now in Pärnu, they have like around 50, 60 high quality, like top of the line developers. That means Pärnu has something new. It's not only a city where in summer you can go to spa and get drunk. In winter, then you have something there. It's not just dead. And he's doing that. Like his goal is extremely hard, unbelievably hard. Like to raise like IT sphere in Pärnu, even in Tallinn, it's hard. And he's doing that. But that guy, he's like totally has a goal. He wants to grow in Pärnu and grow Pärnu. We don't have so many people in Estonia who are so crazy that are someone in Narva like, I will make a game dev studio in Narva. I didn't find anyone who's willing to do that because it's hard. So we need more of those. And if we have those people, and I see those people, I try to help as much as possible to those people. Many people relocated here because they found someone like a wife, maybe a husband, and they're now here. And that's how we have even Chowsmonger Studio, I think. No, some others. Hammer and Raven Studio, they're doing right now a really cool game about monks brewing beer and getting drunk and selling beer. It's a really good game. So yeah, like many people came here and they stayed, they loved the country, and they're still here only because they love the country and the atmosphere, and because we're all so slow and sad and people love it, but not because of high salaries. That's not the goal here, definitely. But let's see. Lately I've got some information that some big corporations are interested in the Estonian market. I don't know if they will come. Like there is one from Japan, but maybe they will. You never know.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is there like a website or place where you can look up when all the game jams are happening?
It's hard to manage right now because the website I'm doing just on my own in free time. But the best place is always the Discord channel. Like on Discord channel, we post everything as much as we can.
The Game Dev Estonia
Yeah,
Discord
yeah,
channel?
GD Discord channel. Like usually there is this events and announcements, and all of the events I know in Estonia, they are always announced there. Then when I have time, I post that to social media. I previously was doing some additional posts on the website, but it's so much work. Because of that, we're using mostly, of course, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Then on Patreon, there is even free Patreon we have. Like I post the most important stuff on Patreon, but that's like the most important stuff. Don't want to have like a wave of garbage. And yeah, the Discord channel is like the best one because it's one place, there is 1,200 people, it's easier to manage those questions there. And usually we even check events that are happening in Estonia, and in Discord we talk about, is it a good event? Because there are some events this year that will happen in Estonia that are kind of fishy. And we already discussed everything, and we, even in Discord, if we don't post that event, that means that event, usually it's about gambling, you know, or this kind of crypto scams. So we already like clean that. And we're trying our best. Like lately, there is a lot of weird NFT projects, you know, that crypto stuff, and we are very serious about that. We just don't do that. Like, just don't. It's bad. So we don't cooperate with those things, and we will never be there. And because of that, we have some problems usually, because of course that world has a lot of money and projects, and not of them are, all of them are bad. But I just think we should separate. We have right now still problem in Estonia that government sees us as a part of gambling. So game dev in Estonia is still considered as one with gambling, even in the register. So we always are trying, and we're working very hard to divide ourselves, because if we will be together with gambling, the revenues will be not 50 million, it will be 250, 350 million, because gambling companies in Estonia are very rich, they're very big. You cannot even imagine how big gambling companies are in Estonia. And that's another problem that we always have to divide. And we had a meeting with Minister of Culture, and even advisor of Minister of Culture named the most successful game dev studios in Estonia, and the first one was Playtech. And I was like, great. Yeah, that's the thing.